1 o'clock Hawaii time on the dot. So we'll go ahead just for, time's sake, respecting everyone's time. We'll get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Elite Pro 8, Julie Mai here. We're going to do a little amazing back office training. You know, I've been involved now for 7.5 years, and I still feel like there's pieces of the back office that I have to learn and don't know. And I know I call my account manager a lot and ask her questions, and she's like, if you would just go to the back office, it would be easy to do. So I'm so excited that I did a call with Frank and Emery and his team, and they kind of walked me through what they have for us and provided for us as far as training goes. Melody did one for her team that I hopped on and got to see what it looked like. So I'm stoked that she took the initiative and did that, but I wanted to have one for our whole team. And Frank's available, so if a lot of people aren't able to join this call, I know that we're recording it to send it out, but he is available for everybody. So any leaders wants to do this for their team specifically, just know that this is something that we have available, which is so great. So I'm going to introduce Frank. Frank Leon is, he sent me a little tidbit bio of himself that I'm just going to kind of read through. He's been with LifeVantage for 3 years. He started as level 2 supervisor in distributor support, along with offering support and training department. He has assisted with getting the voice customer program established in distributor support to gather trends and concerns from the field. Moved to account manager February 2020 and was able to join on the Cancun trip. Woohoo! Said his family wasn't so stoked to be home shoveling snow though, so that's pretty funny. I bet they were a little jealous of you for that one. In April, he moved to field development manager role, and he's been covering the East region as account manager, field development, and now he's field development manager for the Central U.S. region. So we're so stoked to have you, Frank. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today to walk us through the back office training. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you. And if you guys have any questions, if you're just hopping on now, you can put them in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat, and I'll make sure that Frank gets our questions answered. So take it away, Frank.
Perfect. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. Again, thanks everybody for attending and being able to, again, just get some quick little tidbits. A lot of the stuff that I cover is more or less the frequently asked questions that I've received through my supervisor role and as account manager. It just makes it, again, a way of providing you guys the detail that I get a lot of questions about on a frequent basis. So so the test account will allow me to go into a lot of different spots. Some areas it won't. It'll just kind of sit there and time out. So you'll see where I'll kind of point at and explain some sections, but I'll just bounce over those. But again, that's questions if we want to send those through Julie and get them over to us. That's something that we can always delve into a little bit later if need be. So at this point, I'll jump in, and as she stated before, any questions, just throw them in the chat and I'll monitor that as well. And I do see Sandra Garcia, who's another one of our field development managers, is on as well. So if she wants to monitor the chat, feel free. At this point, I will start sharing my screen, and then you guys will be able to see the start of the show, which is the back office. And I know initially when folks start off with their back office, it's kind of overwhelming. And so what I always like to do is just kind of take them into section by section. And again, the frequently asked question parts is where I'll pause and review those ones a little bit more in depth. So to get us started, definitely this piece right here in regards to qualifications, this area right here, I always tell folks is part of your primary that you want to monitor and look at on a daily, weekly basis, especially on auto ship days. Right now we're the 24th. So definitely after the 25th is a good indication of where you're going to be towards the end of month and what kind of a push that you'll have to make if you are looking to hit a particular rank. So as the qualifications show right now, again, we've got July listed here, but if you hit this drop-down arrow, you've got 6 months worth of history to review as well. So if you are, pushing towards a particular goal, or if you do want to see where you were 6 months ago and kind of give yourself a pat on the back and how far you moved along, it gives you a good indication of where you've been and how you got there. And again, we'll go through this to see within your organization who might have helped you get there as well. You're going to see a bunch of different colors here as we go through these. This yellow lets you know that your PCs below you have actually placed their order, but you have yet to put your order in for the month. So by actually clicking on this bar, you'll be able to see that I've got 440 in my PC's volume, and to the left of that is a big 0 letting me know I have yet to put in my order. So that's why this bar is yellow. If it was gray, and I'll show you what it would look like if it's gray, but when it's gray, that means nobody's done. You're gonna have goose eggs in both. I have yet to place an order. My downline has yet to place an order. So that's when it'll be gray. As it shows down here in green, if I did have my order in plus my PCs, of course, I'm going to have that green bar. That's indicator that I'm green light go. I've hit that one section or that one portion of the qualification to get me towards that pro level. My organization, again, by clicking on this, you'll be able to break that up and to see where that volume's coming from. It'll give the individuals names there along with their volume. And you can actually click inside of these. And by clicking on the name, if they have a profile picture loaded, it'll show up. You can send them direct messages. And you can also see their ID number there as well. And then you can actually look and see if that volume is coming directly from Ryan or somebody within his downline. So in this scenario, the 200 in volume that's coming in isn't actually from Ryan, it's from Paul. So it's a good indication to see who's running, who are the individuals maybe in somebody's downline that are putting in a lot of volume. And at that point, I would probably reach out to Ryan and be like, hey, have you touched base with this Paul person? You know, did you meet them? How did you get this person? Were they an orphan that was assigned to you? And again, it just keeps that team engagement going as well. So again, by clicking on those names, you can get into and delve into that a little bit deeper as well. As Pro 1, again, I only need one leg to qualify, so that's why this volume here is shown as green. And then once I get my order in, that bar will be green and I'll be qualified as a Pro 1. Moving this to like a Pro 3 level, now you're gonna see more bars are showing up. So same instance though, again here, again, I've got my yellow bar letting me know my PCs have their orders in. My organizational volume is still there, letting me know the folks that were there and what orders were placed. But now I have a qualification bar. What that is basically saying that is for this pro level, I need that 5,000 in volume to hit the Pro 3, but this qualification is letting me know, okay, this is gonna be broken up between 2 legs, and I can't just have it all come from one leg and have all 5,000 there and then consider myself qualified. That's just showing that you're out of balance. That's showing you that somebody within your downline is doing all the work. And so at that point, you need to balance this out a little bit more. So this is why we break those up into those 2 different legs to indicate who my strongest leg is, and then that second strongest leg to, again, ensure that my organization is balanced. Same instance on this, when you click on that bar, it'll let you know where that 330 is coming from, and then the 210, which are broken up there as well. As I go higher up, now going into that Pro 5, you're gonna see a 3rd bar show up. So again, now I'm breaking it up into the 3 legs that I would need to qualify for Pro 5. You also notice that my personal volume number has jumped up as well, is now 200. Clicking on that bar, same thing there. I have yet to put in my volume. 440 is still below me. Once I get my order in though, this bar will turn green. I've got my organizational and then my qualifying volume letting me know that this needs to be filled up. But again, with each one of these legs having a cap on each one of them, this is why that qualification volume number will be different than your organization. Your organization is showing you what you're going to get paid out on once you actually hit that pro level. So that's where this entire organization is where that payments, the cash payout's going to come from. But the qualifying volume is letting you know, again, if I have to hit Pro 5, these legs have to be evenly dispersed to a point where I have a strong leg, a second leg, and a third leg, and through which that balance will show that I've hit that Pro 5 level. And again, now I know it's not all coming from one individual or one particular team. It's spread out to the point where I have a strong leg, a second strongest leg, and then at that point, my outside leg, which would be all these other individuals with the volume that they're bringing in. Within our roles as field development, this tends to be when we have those one-on-one meetings, it's usually this combined leg, that outside volume is what folks are really focusing on. But as you start off, if you are focusing on keeping your legs balanced, placement-wise, knowing where to put individuals, and that's where your upline can help you, of just monitoring those numbers there. So that way, again, your volume's not all just coming from one individual and one leg. You're ensuring that that is being dispersed within the 3 legs there. And as you get into the Pro 5, the Pro 6, and 7 levels, that balance is within all 3 of those. And the biggest focus at that point is just going to be hitting that qualifying volume for whatever pro level that you're looking for. So it's just a good way of building that habit now. If you're newer to the company, it's a great way of just ensuring that you have that balance. Folks that have been with us for a little while, I'm sure that you're going to look in the back and go, I wish I would have done this a little bit differently. And that's usually the case because, again, that leg balance. And you don't really know those individuals as they're coming in, but as you're watching that volume show up, again, just ensuring that that balance is played out throughout. So it's a good way of just indicating those numbers there. So this is your qualifications. And then, like I said, as I talked about before, right now is a good time of the month to start reviewing that as you're setting those goals for yourself. You can then see once the 25th is hit, usually all your auto ship volume has come in at that point. And then at that point is really a good indication of where you are and how close you are to that goal you're hitting. If you're very close, again, that last week of the month, you could really push, get in touch with your team. If there's one leg that's close to or out of balance and get beat, but very close to being balanced, you can again at that point start indicating, is it Ryan that I'm reaching out to? Is it my Germany folks that I'm reaching out to? And just ensuring that again, the motivation is there and the momentum is still working. So for you and for that team, the benefit is for everyone. So utilizing this qualification section is definitely something that I tell folks on a regular basis, go in there. Again, utilizing this time period of 6 months to see where you've been and also to let you know where you're at. And if a month does close and you were close to a goal, again, you can go into June and that will take you back. And I think I went to a bad section because I'm timing out. But to see June's numbers as you're getting close to the end of July and saying, okay, I either was at that number or I got past that number. Again, just keeping that motivation going so that way you're ensuring you're in the right place. Sponsor info and order history, again, it'll do the same thing where it's just going to time out. But the sponsor info just lets you know the enroller information, volume-wise. Order history will let you know the orders that you've placed as well. So it's just a good way of just monitoring yourself month to month with orders. Right above that is our personal enrollments, our group enrollments, and then enrollees on subscription. Why this is great is, again, once you start getting higher up within the company, you're always going to want to monitor your personal enrollments because as you go is usually how your team goes. If you're out there and getting those enrollments done, ensuring that those things are done on a regular basis and you're hearing what your team is giving you, it's a good way of just ensuring that you're motivating yourself to almost practice what you preach at that time. And then your group enrollments is, again, those folks within your downline as far as their enrollments as they're coming in month to month as well. The subscription section, and I'll go into detailed genealogy, which will give us a good resource to go into to review all of the subscriptions as well to see who's active, who's not, and even to see last orders. But this number here is a good indication of where your PCs and your distributors, that's what these two bars show, where they're at on a month-to-month basis as well. Right above that, you have your daily bonus. This is something new to LifeVantage. Those folks that are Pro 3 and above, it'll pay you out on a daily basis where you do a subscription, or excuse me, do a sign up. And at that point, you'll see those funds be available a lot quicker than the standard process. Anyone who's distributor to Pro 2 level, you'll still see those numbers there, but that payout won't still happen until what we're used to as far as that following Friday. So the numbers may still indicate there, but dependent on your pro levels where you're going to be and as far as how quickly to see that payout as well. Going into these middle sections, we have the what's new. Again, pretty self-explanatory. Again, it's got the daily bonus, which is a new resource. Our China ambassador, which is going to be having some pretty awesome updates that are showing up pretty soon, which I'm pretty excited about. And I'm kind of getting some information from Sonia Song, who's the field development manager, director for the China market. So what you can start doing right now, though, is going into that China ambassador, reviewing the information and making yourself certified. Because once you review the info there, it actually will ask you to take a test. There is a fee that's applied to it as well. And then once that China market is open and ready to go, you'll have kind of the insight already on what that will entail, and you already have that certification completed as well. The LifeVantage app, which has a lot of fantastic updates, and I'd love to even have a follow-up meeting to this one where we could have our app developer, Kamal Thada, and Sherry Brown, who's our designer of the app. They actually do a walkthrough, and with the recent updates that have been done with the app, and those have been fantastic and I appreciate. We've done about 5 or 6 meetings like this where we walk through the app to see those improvements as well. So I'd love to do that with you guys in the future if that's something that you guys want to get more information on as well. Promotions, again, this is if we're having like a flip the switch promotion, which is currently going on for anybody who rank advanced from last month into this month. This will, again, give those indications on what promotions that are live. And then we have our tax bot, which anyone who signs up for that, it'll allow you to, again, monitor your taxes throughout the year. So once April comes, you'll kind of have that all organized out for you. I'll pause right there. Julie, was there any general questions right now that you guys wanted me to review or go over?
I'm looking right now. I don't see
Okay.
any questions right now unless anybody wants to. I would like to know when the LD app goes globally.
Yes, and that's why I want to have that conversation with those folks. They have all the details, they have all the updates. I know they're available in some international markets, but not all just yet. But I know it's something they're definitely working on.
Okay, great. And then there was one more early on. Wendy Colley said she would like to know what customers see when they log into their websites. I know it's different than mine as a distributor. It would make it so much easier to help customers navigate.
Perfect, totally makes sense. And if it talks about, if we're talking the back office, they will more or less have all of these, and I'll go through the ones that they will see because honestly, the subscription one tends to be the one that they'll want to go in and help them with the most. Because as PCs, usually they want to either place an order or make edits to their subscriptions or cancel their subscription if that's the case, or even delay them. And we'll go through that section specifically as well.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah, we'll set up an app review. I just wanted to ask a quick question about the tax bot. This is something I haven't used. So is this just an app that you put on your phone and you put in your income and it helps you
Monitor it as well. Yeah, exactly the case. And it's just organizing. And again, as commissions come through, and once that time of the year shows where it's time to start reporting all of that, by you being signed up, I think it just does the organizational piece as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's great to know. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No problem. So moving on to this next piece, the Big Blue Calendar. When we can travel and when we can actually get together as groups, this is a great resource. I think of it in those scenarios where, like a person myself, I'm originally from Southern California, and then I moved to Utah about 15 years ago. But had I signed up as a distributor in California and maybe had a tight group right there, but then I moved to Utah, this would give me a resource where I could go to and look and see if maybe somebody's having a meeting in Utah that I could actually attend. And at that point, get together with folks who speak the LifeVantage language, if you will. You know, when you start talking dynamic compression or platinum packs and gold packs and all that good stuff, if somebody doesn't know what we're talking about, you can see the gloss over in their eyes. But with this resource here, you actually have the option to add an event, and you can put in there, you know, the date, what it's going to cover. You can put yourself as the host, your contact information, and through of which, again, once we can start traveling, those folks that may be in your area that have an upline that's in a whole different, you know, state, in some cases even a different country, they would have the ability to come into this calendar and review, as some of these are shown here. Go, great, I'd love to go to that event. I can, you know, show up and know who I'm talking to by having, again, the host's name there. It's just a good way of just kind of getting the networking process done as well. So by adding an event there, you have control with the setup. If it is a case where you're struggling with it or you're looking to add information or make edits to it, our front desk, her name is Hannah, our receptionist, she'd be the person to contact, and she has control over this Big Blue Calendar as well. So again, once we have that ability to start traveling around, I find this to be a fantastic resource just to put it out there that you're available and you're looking to meet up with other folks that, again, speak that LifeVantage language, if you will. This next section is about event registration. This is where you can actually register for events. You can even look through the history of the previous events that you've gone to. And then if you have tickets available, this is where you would go in and start utilizing those. So like our global event that's going to be happening virtually in October, this is the section you go into to actually register for that event. Next piece we have is our business tools. This is, again, the area you want to go to, especially in this first one, because it is your referral site. So of course, as you're finding out different prospects, you want to ensure that you're giving them the right URL to your website. And then you can actually go in there, see if you have a picture loaded. Again, later I'll show you guys where we can make edits to the URL. But this is where you could launch it right off the bat to be able to just review that information as well. News Center, again, kind of like the latest news down here. We'll give you any updates in regards to the company. Anything new that's going on, you can utilize the News Center for that. And then right below that is the LifeVantage store, where, of course, t-shirts, hats, you know, pens, notebooks, all of those items are going to be available. So this is just a good way to purchase swag. So again, if you do want to get a hat or a shirt, it might have the LifeVantage symbol on it and get those conversations started. If you're doing a Zoom with maybe some prospects, by having some of that swag on, it's just a good way to promote your business and ensuring that folks are even engaging with you, going, what does that hat mean? Or, what is this flip the switch thing that you're talking about? So utilizing that store to just, again, get those swag items so folks can start a conversation as well. Going into the industry history and statistics, again, this just talks about LifeVantage, where we've been, different history in regards to the company itself. Again, we got more TaxBot expense tracker. So if you do sign up for that TaxBot, this will allow you to utilize the tracker for that as well. And if you are a person who might have come in with like a silver or gold pack, this purchase upgrade packs will be available for you to utilize, where you could purchase an upgrade pack. Just a little bit of FYI for that. That's always separate than what a gold, a silver, or platinum. I've always had some folks come in with like a silver, and then they utilize the upgrade pack, and the expectation is that they're going to get the product that was missing from the platinum in that upgrade pack, but it's actually a whole separate item on its own. So this is why it's always good to go in there and look at those packs, see what's going to come in there, and then the expectations can be set to know what's actually going to show up in your pack, and you're not expecting just the difference between product from a gold to a platinum pack at that point. So again, it just kind of gives you the heads up as what to expect. Same instance, again, we have our China ambassador, just as it was listed there in the what's new. Once that what's new area gets updated, the China ambassador information will still be listed. Again, this is where you can go in, review, walk through the test itself, pay the fee in order to get that test process so you can get yourself China ambassador certified. This mobile feedback form, skip over that. Again, with the updates that'll be coming to the back office soon. This had to do more with our previous apps, but since those are obsolete, the new app actually has the feedback option within the app itself. So that way you can provide feedback that'll get to Sherry and Kamal, and they can hear that. And again, another reason why I love having those meetings, because the feedback we get during those meetings, they can utilize to either update you on what's been corrected within the app, or to hear the feedback from the field on what they want. And if that's stuff that we can do, they can, again, start addressing those things as well. Legacy donation tax information just lets you know if you do make a donation to our legacy, how to report those taxes and write that information off as far as those donations. These sections I know I've tested before, so I'm actually able to go into. So this commission summary, I like utilizing this because, again, as you get your monthly payouts, you can monitor throughout the year, your highest, your lowest, what you might have been doing in those months in order to see why the influx or the downside of the checks might have happened. But it's a good way to go into, and as you can see, as you hover above these, you can actually click on them, and it'll take you to another page where you can get a breakdown of what you got paid out on. So if you're at a point where you're getting the fast start, or excuse me, the bonus pool, you'll see where those funds are coming in, your unilevel payout, and then to delve in a little bit deeper to see what levels you got paid out on by certain individuals. When you download that PDF, it'll even give you a little bit more insight here, and you can see the individual's names. You'll be able to identify at what level you got paid out on, and then through the volume that they purchased, at what percentage rate you were paid out on that as well, and how you got to that, $20 or whatever dollar amount that you were paid out on. So it's just a good way to delve into it, ensuring that that placement and structure is set up correctly. And again, it just has that layout for you as well. Let's see, close out of this one, same instance, you can go back one, and we'll delve into that secondary commissions. So secondary bonus, again, this is when you do sign somebody up who's brand new, and you do get that initial payout as long as you're qualified. This will let you, again, review those numbers, and let's see, I'll go into this $300 one. And this one's great because, again, you want to identify, did this come from one individual? Does this come from 5 individuals? Like, how did it get to that dollar amount? So same instance, it'll let you know, okay, this all was Fast Start bonus. I download that PDF, and this will let me know who actually that payout was from. So in this up over here, it'll populate that box, and we want to zoom in a little bit more. But within that, again, same instance, I'll be able to see the name. I'll see what they purchased, at what percentage I got paid out on, and then same instance there, it'll give me a total, and that's where I get that running number to identify the payout on that. Secondary bonus, I find that's a little bit more the why behind it, or where did those funds come from. And it's one that does get paid out, again, either that Friday or the following Friday. You just want to ensure that you were, again, commission qualified at that point with your PV in place. So that'll break down your commission summary. Again, another great resource to go into on a consistent basis, especially with new enrollments. As I talked about, that secondary bonus is a big thing to monitor and keep in mind. One thing I did forget to mention is, again, with the PV, and this is a great example of it. 440 coming from my PCs is great, but I always push the folks, if you can do it, by having your 100 in PV coming from yourself, because now you're counting on you to get that PV in every month. You're putting yourself in a good place from at least Pro 1 through Pro 3. Once you get to Pro 4, that's where that 200 PV comes into play. And again, at that point, it's just going, okay, I need to have and count on me the 200 in PV in every month. So through which I know for my Pro 4, Pro 5, Pro 6 levels, I'm getting myself qualified that way. But also tying into that secondary bonus, I'm putting myself into that highest ranking or the payout for any new enrollments that I do as well. So again, by counting on yourself and knowing that you've placed your orders, it really is a case of just empowering you as a distributor and knowing that you have that volume in month to month and not having to worry about a PC maybe canceling or delaying their subscription and that impacting your PV for the month. So I always just ensure to make sure that folks are keeping that in mind and even rotating through product, keeping your 200 PV, but switching it up for me from 4 Axios to a Tri-Synergizer, Vitality Stacks. It's just switching up your product month to month is always a good way of just ensuring that you're not stockpiling on product as well. So I always like to call that out just as a good little FYI.
Thanks, Frank. Can I jump in real quick?
Please do.
Yeah, we definitely have been training our team on the 200 PV, and it's been awesome to see everybody succeeding in doing that and understanding why it's really important. I did have a question about the colors. So right now it's yellow, which means, like you said, that you don't have an order in. Does it turn blue when your order is in? That's
a great question. It actually will turn green, and I think I have an example of one of those within this. Let's see. I want to see it's this test account. Oh, that's the gray option. So that shows you that nobody's placed anything. And then I want to say I know it's one of these top 3. There we go. So when it does hit that volume level, you'll see it turn a solid green like this. The only one, solid green. Yeah, the only ones that'll turn blue is when you're getting into your first, second, and combined legs. Okay. And once that's all the way filled out, and then you'll see that this qualification will actually fill out and turn green as well.
Okay, perfect. Couple questions. Somebody, Michelle Sullivan had a question about, and this is something that I've wondered in the past too, but I don't think it's possible. When we have our personal customers, a lot of times they call us to change their auto ship date, or they want to remove something or add something. Can we do that as their distributor, or do they have to actually go in and do it themselves?
They can go in there. If they say, hey, I need you to do this, I'm not sure how to do it, I would say the best piece is to go, well, let's walk through it together. Let's log into this together. Now's the time to start Zooming with folks to walk them through it. I've had some scenarios where maybe folks of different generations, and they're just like, I don't know how to do it. Here's my login information. Help me with the process. I don't always recommend that because, again, it's your back office and you should be the one going in there, but it's just another way of a teaching tool. So they're always going to have to go in with their login and their password in order to get into that back office piece. But once I get there, I'll show you guys this. It's pretty simple to do. It really is. It's just, again, knowing the ins and outs behind it.
Okay, and last, let's see, we have a couple more pop up. Anita had a question about the China ambassador. She said, what exactly entails that? I'm guessing if you go into there, you have to fill out a form.
Yeah, what it's going to do is basically it's going to give you some information. You're going to go in and actually review some details. It's going to give you a breakdown of what the China ambassador, the new platform is going to be. Once you review all that information, it's going to ask you if you want to take the test and then give you what the fee would be. And the test itself is just going to cover the information that you reviewed, because when we get into that China market, there are a lot of different restrictions. It's very different than the US market or any other market we're in. Just because of, again, a lot of the rules that are in place for the China market is extremely different than everybody else. So this is why we set training for it and why you actually have to be paid out and qualified for that China ambassador program.
Got it. And the fees associated are different depending on the country that you're in?
No, it should be one fee because it's a China ambassador that you're signing up with. So it should be one fee across the board.
Okay, cool. Looks like that's it for now. So we'll continue.
Okay, perfect. These next two talk about not on subscription and then your downline subscription. It's again, I'll show you another spot where you can look at this as well. But those folks that are not on subscription, it could be that they're placing spot orders. And these are the ones you maybe want to reach out to and let them know about the benefit of having a subscription, the free shipping that's entailed with it if they're ordering under $100 in the US. If they're outside of the US, finding out what that threshold is. But again, it's just a kind of a way of organizing that as well. The detailed genealogy will allow you to do that, but this is one place where it's already structured out for you, and you can go in there and review that. Along with your downline subscription, same instance there, you can see those folks that are on it. You can go in there and review and go, okay, great. If I'm running a promotion of some sort, I'll be able to actually see who those folks that are on that subscription as well. And then this next one talks about, again, the subscription volume overview report. That'll let you know month to month how much of the volume that's coming in from the folks that are on subscription. And again, that's another good way of you just kind of almost, I wouldn't say count on it, but it's a good way of going, okay, I'm solid here. I'm having a good 3,000, 8,000, whatever the case may be, coming in on my subscriptions. That will help with, again, going back to that qualifications. After the 25th runs, I know I've got this number here to kind of review, and even looking at the different batches, like the 5th, the 10th, the 15th, and identifying which one of those batch days could be the highest as far as those subscriptions are tied to. This next one is your striking distance. This is a good one too. As your downline grows, you can utilize this to see, say if I have like Sandra and Julie underneath me and they're both, pushing really hard, I can utilize this to see how close they are percentage-wise to that next pro ranking. So if Julie's like, hey, I want to hit Pro 7, and I can go in there towards the end of the month. If I see that she's 5% away, me as her enroller, I'll want to engage with her and say, hey, you're 5% away. What are you doing? Did you do a promotion? Again, it just keeps you engaged with your team, and especially with those are your runners. And as they get closer to those goals, again, you can stay in touch with them to make sure that they're feeling that support from you as well. So it just keeps you guys, again, working with one another and even sharing best practices as well. This next one actually we'll be able to go into. So the influencer tracker, once you go into this, of course, we're going to have different programs or different promotions that are going to be ran. But in some of these, like the influencer tracker, it'll indicate to you what the criteria is and then how close you are to actually hitting those. And just like with the qualifications, these bars will fill up. So it's a good way of, again, just keeping you motivated as it's a 6-month or a year-long promotion. This just kind of keeps you organized on what your goals might be and, again, how close you are to hitting those goals. So I like utilizing these trackers because, again, it just keeps you organized. And if it's a long running promotion, letting you know as we're getting closer to it, how close you are to hitting that goal. It'd be the same instance with like Road to Convention. So you're going to see those trackers there. This one I always like to promote very hard because, again, Pro 5, it's a fantastic milestone within LifeVantage. Once you hit Pro 5, we do have our Pro 5 Summit where folks can go to and actually mingle with other Pro 5s. And even get some tidbit information from like a Pro 8, Pro 9, and Pro 10. So to have that time together is really fantastic to network. And then you actually get to hear everybody's story as well. It might have taken some folks 5 years to get to Pro 5, or other folks it might have taken them 5 months. And it's just working with those individuals to find out the differences. The last one I went to, I got at a table where I did have that instance. Somebody took them about 6 years to get to Pro 5, but they were just doing it a different way. Their method to the process was baby steps. And then we had some folks that were utilizing social media, so their growth was a lot faster. So again, by going to these events, it's beneficial. You get some one-on-one time with the account managers and the sales team. But again, having those trainings with the group is fantastic. This will let you indicate to you, the months at Pro 5, what the qualifications are, and just kind of keeps you on track as you're going throughout the year of hitting that milestone as well. Let's see, back out of this one.
Hey, Frank, real quick for the striking distance, a tab there and that report. I know in the past when I was trying to use that, I haven't in a while, so maybe there's been some updates, but I'm seeing a couple in the chat saying that the numbers haven't been that dependable in the striking distance. Have we done some work there, or do they get updated, every couple days so that it's more dependable?
From what I understand, it should be updated as the orders are placed. But if you guys have feedback on that, I appreciate it, because then I can get that from the field. Again, this is why we did that voice of customer program. So if you have any examples, what our IT guys and what our back office utilize, they're very black and white in the fact that they want to know an ID number, where the discrepancies are in the numbers. So whether you're sending that to support@lifevantage.com, or for some instance you need to call into support and talk to an agent, please report those to us, so that way we know examples to actually go back to and look at. So yeah,
Okay.
if it's way off, we definitely want to know that. So providing that feedback is to your benefit, but for us as well, if we're going to provide you with the resource, we want to make sure it's working well for the team.
Okay, great. And for the Pro5 Summit Tracker, if you've already attended that, does it show your downline who is getting closer, or is that just not there if you've already gone?
Yeah, it'll basically be filled out. This is, again, because it's your back office, your name and your ID number will show there. So it's going to be specific to you as an individual.
Okay.
Perfect. But again, this is why you share it with your downline and maybe have a meeting with them to show them, again, the resources and how they can monitor as well. I utilize this because, again, it's building independence. If you're a distributor and this is your business, this is what we want. We want you guys going in there, monitoring on your own to be able to identify where you are, to get that motivation going for yourself. I'll show you other sections where you definitely can look at your downline and see some other information for them as well. That's good way, because actually this next piece is about your new members. So as your newer signups come through, you'll be able to see those guys here, along with their ID number and their enrollment date. And why that's important because of this next section that I'll go up to in the upper left, which is going to be your holding tank. So for these sections up on top, if you just hover over each, you don't have to click on them, just hover it, it'll actually open up these other sections. But by going into the holding tank with these new members that are showing up, you can see their ID, their names here, and the actual entry date. And this means is when they sign up to come into the company. And as it calls out right here, you do have 30 days from that entry date to actually place them within the placement tree. Very important, because I've had folks sign up on the 1st, forgetting that there are 31 days in the month, and they think just because they're still in July and the 31st day they go in there and the person's gone because they've automatically placed them, and now they're front line. And now you're delving into a second piece where after the 30 days is complete, you can still change that placement, but there's a $25 fee and it has to be done with some paperwork through compliance. So by monitoring this and identifying, hey, Ryan signed up on the 25th, his 30 days is coming up, I better go in and get that placement done. And how you do so is just by going into change, identifying the ID number of the person that you're looking to place them under. So you put their ID number there, and then you hit verify. Why we do that is because their name will show up there, and you can ensure that you weren't off by 1 digit or transpose any numbers, and it's that actual individual that you're looking to put them the placement under. And then once that's done, of course, you hit confirm, and that placement is done. If it is a case that I did sign somebody up on the 22nd and I went in and did their placement change, I got them placed, but maybe a few days later I was like, actually, you know what? I should have placed them under so-and-so rather than where I put them. Because I'm still within that 30-day window, I can actually give a call to customer service, send an email off to support, or again, if you're at that Pro 5 and above level, you can get in touch with your account manager and say, I did this placement, but I want to change this person somewhere else. Because again, I'm still within my 30 days, so we actually will be able to go in there and make that edit, and you can change somebody's placement as much as you'd like within that 30-day window. And there's no paperwork, there's no fee attached to it at all. So, because again, we're individuals that we change our mind every once in a while, or you might do it on the fly, and then you actually look at your placement tree and you're like, wait, I actually found somebody that I'd rather have them under. As long as you're still within that 30-day window, you have that ability to make that update, again, through distributor support or with your account manager. So utilizing this resource to that benefit and just to be able to monitor that window of time as well. Again, just stressing that point, 30 days, folks, please keep that in mind. Moving on from there, we have, again, we have our enroll a new distributor. Of course, is just how you would through your, through this section here. You can set up an enrollment. And then you have your member summary. That'll just break down everybody within your downline, PCs and all, to give you a little bit more detail with them. Graphic tree, I do like going into, because again, it's just it's a visual to show you the setup and the layout of your downline. As you can see with our test account here, we've got quite the tree. But in some cases, your downline might look just like this. And through these colors here, you can identify your distributors, Pro 1, Pro 2, whatever Pro level, and see their placement and who they're under. Again, as you hover above each one of these, it'll call out the name that's listed. And then as you click on it, same thing, it'll show you their profile picture. You can send a message, look at their ID and all. But this section here is more to give you a visual look at that. And you can edit this as far as if you do just want to see from, 1 and 2, as far as the first and second level, it'll allow you to kind of break it down. So that way it may not be as overwhelming, again, as you're getting new enrollments and the longer you're with LifeVantage. You can see your direct line, your indirect line, and just by clicking update, whatever changes you made there, it'll populate that individual. You can also look them up by ID number and name, and that way you can jump into that individual. But for me, this is where I feel like the detailed genealogy for me is just an easier way to kind of find that as well. Same thing, you're going into downline, and then this detailed genealogy will allow you to do that same thing, but it's going to be more name and numbers driven at that point. So you do have that search option there. You can search by name, or you can search by that person's ID number. As you're typing in their names, you can see the results that populated right away. It'll start showing them there, and then you can actually pick the individual as their, maybe you're like, is it Jones, Johnson? I can't remember. You can start that out, and it'll fill in those for you as well. You can start looking at, again, the levels. So I always like to look 0 to 100. You've got your placement tree. You've got your enrollment tree that you can review. And then these check boxes here, distributors, preferred customers, suspended accounts, you can review all those details. Anytime you check mark one of these boxes here, you're always going to want to go to update report. And what that's basically going to do is update all the information down here at the bottom. And you do have your default columns that will show up for you, and giving the name, ID number, and all that detail. Right off the bat, the one that I like going into is the last ordered. So if you click on it once, what it's going to do is show the lowest to highest. And if you click on it a second time, it'll put it in chronological order for you, where it'll show you the most recent orders down to the orders that might have been months or years away. Why I like this is, again, I know my folks that have ordered recently, great, I can monitor that. But I have such a huge downline that if I even want to go into and say, okay, I'm going to start from January of this year. I'm going to see that this was the last time that Dallin Holmes placed an order was in January. I'm going to re-engage with him. I'm going to give him a call. I got his phone number here. Might touch base. Hey, how's it going? Re-engage with the friend that I haven't talked to in a little while. And then touch base and say, hey, were you aware of the updates? Or did you know about our Flip the Switch program that's going on right now? Him being a distributor, I can find out the why behind maybe he hasn't ordered in a while. And again, it's just a good way to re-engage with folks that you may not have talked to in a while. Those preferred customers could have been a one and done, meaning they placed one order and then they just never did after that. And again, it's a good way of just getting in touch to verify the why behind it. Was it too much price? Did you not like the product? Did you not feel anything? It's just a good way to get those follow-up pieces to ensure that you're offering the support, but also making them aware of all the options that they still have available for them. Again, as I talked about, initially all these showed up with the default columns that are showing here. But I'm not too concerned about somebody's enrollment date. I can actually go into this format section, click on that enrollment date, and hit this arrow. And that'll get it out of the way. Again, same instance, I'll go in and update that report. So now that enrollment date will be gone. And what that does for you as a distributor, it just allows you to organize the columns in a way where you're like, okay, I only worry about these particular columns. These are the ones that I want to see and that I'm utilizing to review my downline. So this format section really is beneficial to just edit those pieces to your benefit. In this organization or this PV, you know what? Hey, this is too far off to the right. I want to make this in the forefront. So if you highlight it off in this column, and then you can move it up, that way it shows up right next to that person's name. Hit update report. Just as I showed before, now this PV is going to show up right next to their name.
That's cool.
Just a good way to kind of structure it out. Visually, it helps. You know, again, if you have a large downline, it's just overwhelming at times. And then same thing on this. If you click PV once, it'll do that lowest to highest. Click on it again. Now I'm looking at highest to lowest. Maybe. Click on it again, Frank. There you go. So now you'll be able to see those digits, and it'll give you that breakdown to where, again, as you're running even promotions for your team, it's a good way of just organizing those numbers to where now I can see. And as Julie was talking about, if I have a promotion saying, hey team, if everybody gets over the 100 in volume, then great. Now I can organize this and verify that as well. Anybody that's below, same instance now, I can either reach out to them via phone, or also got to show you guys a section where you can actually email one email to a mass group as well. So it's just organizing your thoughts in those processes there.
Hey Frank, is there, the PV is their personal order and their customers, correct? Is there a tab that will show just their, no, that's their personal order?
If you go in, I believe if you click on this will do the same thing here. It's going to populate that box. If you click on that bar, now it'll separate them out for you. This number here in the front will always be what that individual has ordered. So in this instance, Ryan has not placed an order. So apparently I need to call Ryan Goodwin, tell him to put in his PV for the month because his PCs have already done 200. So just touching base and ensuring that those distributors have their orders in as well. Great question, guys. Keep those coming. And then as I talked about before, if you are going to run maybe an incentive for your team and you want to ensure that maybe some key measures, some numbers are being looked at as well, you can go into this filters section. And again, we've been talking about PV, so I'll kind of stick to that subject. And if I want to find those numbers here, I can actually say, okay, I want to just look at folks that maybe already have 200 and above. So I'll do 200 here, and then maybe just 1,000. And if I do update report, same instance there, it should again at this point be able to see, okay, those zeros out, but if I hit that PV again, it will organize this to the point where I can start seeing the 200 and above into that 1,000 mark. Okay, I know I've got these individuals that are on it. Same thing, if I click on their name and actually populate the box and be like, Darren, you have 440, you need to get your 40 in. And again, it just gives you an option to see, hey, is that really coming from this individual, or is it that downline that's doing the work that I may want to get in touch with them and say, how are you working with your downline?
Right. Can we make a request possibly?
Sure.
What would be a great column to have? I think it was Jennifer Murray said a PPV, personal volume, right? So that you know exactly what people are placing. So just without having to do that extra step, we can go in and say, hey, Ryan, I can tell just by looking at this, this list that you haven't put it in order yet without having to take that, especially when your team gets to be over, Pro 3, Pro 4, it's a pretty significant amount of people to have to go and do that. So
exactly. Yeah. And if anything, like I said, you can even dwindle this down to just distributors. There's just, the Pro 3s and above. I mean, you have all these options to edit to get those individuals down, or even you're looking at particular pro rankings. But I appreciate that suggestion. Again, anything that the field we want to hear. And that's why we established that voice of customer. So if you're in your back office and saying, hey, steps I need to take just to get to these particular numbers, use this a lot, this might be a better step. And I know in the near future, just because some priorities have been switched up with COVID happening and all, we will be having a back office 2.0 version. A lot of these functions right now will still be in there, but again, based off of your guys' suggestions, they may be adding and changing some information as well. So that was a PPV. Having that as a suggestion could be beneficial. We want to hear that. Again, this is where we want to utilize that support@lifevantage.com. Even if it's just to email in that suggestion, that's fantastic. We want to hear that from the field. More info and the more of those suggestions that we get. Again, if I get a stockpile of thousands of those requests, your voices are going to be heard by utilizing that program. So please continue to send those over. And then even I like this portion too, because if you want to maybe curtail a promotion or an incentive for your team that's more curtailed around the folks that are brand new, you can actually go in here and change and look at the join dates and set up that window to maybe be today's date and from January of this year on. And this is where those individuals will show up that are new, and you can at that point, touch base with Pacesetter, ensuring that they know what it's about. Again, by setting up that maybe that 2-month window, it's a good way of just ensuring that either the leaders or yourself has reached out to those individuals to talk about those particular promotions. So, and then I talked about even too, you can look at the particular batch dates. So even going specifically around a particular date and seeing that will show you those individuals that have that batch date as the day that their subscription orders will come out. So utilizing that resource as well. So again, this is just one of those things where what are you using it for? And then does it have the tool in place for me to use it? You don't know unless you actually go in and start playing with this. So this is why I say I encourage folks to go back there, put in those numbers that you want to look at, tweak and play with it a little bit so that way you can make it yours. And if something's not there, or maybe it is, but it doesn't give you that full potential you think is there, providing that feedback so our IT guys know what they can do in order to get those resources set up in a way that might benefit your team as well. So again, I really like detailed genealogy. I don't know if you guys can tell, I spent the most time here, but it's a fantastic resource, and knowing that it's there. Again, a lot of times I have folks that, like I said, that have been here for a long time that just haven't gone in there and played with it. You can't break it. So please go in, play, tweak, try some stuff out. But if anything, write down your steps, because I have people who have gone in, they're like, I did it. I don't know how, but I did this, and now I don't know how to do it again. So if there is a goal in mind, maybe just kind of making some notes for yourself and how you did it as well. Just kind of keeps you in the point where you're a little bit more organized.
Awesome. That's a great point. I think we tend, at least myself, I'm not a very tech savvy person, so I get really overwhelmed by all the different filters, all the different numbers, but like you said, we can't break it. So just go and fool around and see what works, and this will be recorded so you can always watch it again. And if we had any more specific questions, I'm sure Frank won't mind answering them for us. And also, you guys, if you have any requests, I think so, a lot of times we'll wish something's there and then we'll just kind of wish it away and not actually do anything about it. So if you have requests, please email either your leaders or support, LifeVantage support, because the more simple and the more easy this is for you to utilize, the more it will help you grow your business. Like Frank said earlier, this is our business. This is basically the office to your business. And I think a lot of times we forget that. We're out there doing the work outside and forget how useful this can be to really help us, stay organized and know where we need that extra volume to hit the ranks we want. So really appreciate the training.
Gotcha. This next section, again, like I talked about before, once you kind of identify, and again, by setting an agenda, as you talked about, hey, I want to look at PV for my group. That's one area I'm going to focus on that. So this doesn't become so overwhelming. So maybe finding particular goals or numbers you're looking for. And then once you get those, now you can utilize this message section. So if you did want to send a message to your group, again, I went into communications, send message. This allowed you to go into and actually send mass emails to your team as well. You can look up particular ID numbers, who to send it to there. You can go through your full downline. As you can see here, it's already pre-filled with all distributors. And at this point, I have 272 of them. So if I do want to send a message, particularly to my distributors and distributors only, I could do that, type in my email down here. It lets you play with the font sizes, underlining, like pretty much everything that you would do within an email. It's all listed right here for you to play with. And again, utilizing these filters to just be your PCs, finding those folks, just the rank 3 and above. Again, play with it, going into this resource and just tweaking it to identify, who do I want to get this message out to? I talked about too, it's time management. If I'm out building and building and building, and then I get home and I have a half hour to focus on maybe my back office, and I do want to send an email to everybody, rather than taking an hour and a half to write one email and copy and paste, I can utilize this resource to get it all plugged in. And all of those folks that agreed to receive emails, they will receive this. Your course, your sub. Sure.
That group tab, sorry to interrupt you. That group tab is not for particular lines in your organization, or?
Yep, my PCs. You can set up one again with new in May. It gives you all the different ones where you can add and change them. So you have the ability to tweak and create those groups as well. So
right. So one thing that I know as we all grow, you know, a lot of times we're out of balance, right? We're off one leg is big. We need one particular group or leg to grow so we hit our Pro 3, Pro 5, whatever our goal is. So is there a way to send it to one line? Like let's say you want to run a promotion within one line. Like this would be a fantastic way to do that if there was a filter for that.
Yeah, from what I understand, you can go in and build them here. I think this is the setup piece to where you can actually build a group and go in there. It might be a little bit more manual initially when you set it up. But since it's in place and you name it, it should be within this drop-down box for you to utilize. If you're having trouble or issues with that, let me know. I have yet to create one, so I don't want to play the part like I know exactly what it is. But having issues with it, those are one of those things where, again, if you get that feedback to say, hey, I'm trying to do this, it's not working, I'm more than happy to get in touch with those experts to figure it out.
Cool.
Perfect. Some additional filters you can utilize as well. Again, you can go by entry date. You can utilize the PV, the OV, and then again, we've harped on this a lot, but again, going by PV, it'll let you enter in the PV amount. So again, anybody that might be under a certain number and you want to reach out to them, you have that as a filter option as well. So just again, it's a toy to utilize. It's one of those things that go into personally enrolled individuals. I mean, it's just what am I using it for? And it really is a case of going, okay, we want to use it more for this than for that. And if it's not available, please let us know. Because if we can make it available for you, we definitely will. So that's your message center. Again, I like to always go into the library piece as well, because this is where you're going to find whether it be videos or forms. Information about particular product will be listed here as well. I did just jump into forms, click on it, it'll take me to forms, and all that will be listed there as well. Same instance on this. At times it can be overwhelming where I feel like I'm scrolling forever. But again, if you utilize hit Control on your keyboard and F for Control Find, and I tend to find that placement tends to be the one that everybody is looking up all the time. In doing so, you can see I've got 2 matches here. It'll highlight it in blue, and then I got another one in yellow. So it'll give you a quick response on where that information is located. So if you're looking for a particular product, again, you can utilize this top section, but also using that Control Find to actually get to that area a lot quicker. Just make sure your spelling's right, because if it's not spelled right, it won't take you anywhere. You can actually look up, I like this piece too, because you can go into different markets and at that point see what forms are available for them to utilize. So if you are branching out beyond the states, you can utilize that in order to see what they're looking at, and also the ability to change language as well. So that's available. Same as at the top, you have the ability to Spanish and English. You can change the languages within your back office as well. Let's see here. So those are the big ones. We went through Big Blue Calendar, multimedia, we touched base, News Center, we've gone. Again, I like going into this, definitely the shopping section. You can place your individual orders here, but you can actually do a couple of things that I really like. TaxBot, of course, is listed, but this section right here, the order and tracking, it's going to take a second to pull up just because of my downline so huge. But this will allow you to actually pull up particular orders, look at the order number, look at the tracking number. And if you're an individual that does want to print out invoices, being that they don't come in the boxes because we're paperless, you can actually click on the order number here, and you can show up an invoice and be able to print this out if you'd like. It'll break down your taxes, give you the product of what was ordered, the order date, the order number, your ID number here, volume. It'll give you all that breakdown. And this right here, this payment receive section, you're going to see this. I'm going to go in another spot where you'll see that word orbital. All that basically means is you placed an order yourself and you paid for it. And in paying for it with your credit card, it's going to go through our orbital paying system. And it's just Chase Bank and the way we use to process our credit card payments. So if you ever see that word orbital, that just means that you placed an order. So again, that's going to have a lot of the invoice details. If you want to get a particular invoice, you can do that. The tracking details will be listed there. And then it'll give you those order dates and all that information. Ship date, the volume, it'll break it down for you and all the orders that you've ever placed. So it's a good way of, again, just backtracking it. And even at the event store, it'll give you that detail as well. Anything that says stopped, that means you might have called in and requested it to be stopped through the call center or through your account manager. Hey, I placed this, but can you stop that order? I don't need it. And if it's within the time frame where they could still reach out to the warehouse, we'd be able to see that listed there as well. And then the big one here, subscription orders. Everybody loves this section because now we have some new toys within it. It'll show you again the shipment date that's coming up, where it's being shipped to, the order numbers attached to it, the PV amount. And then now you do have the option to actually cancel your subscription to the back office. So yes, delete, that'll just shut that one down altogether. That way, if you're looking to stop, maybe you have multiple subscriptions and you want to stop one of them after a short period of time, you could do that as well. This change section here, well, again, this is a big piece. Anytime that you know you're going to go in there and make edits to your product, biggest thing to remember is always go in and add first. So you do this continue shopping, add the product that you're going to want to keep or you're looking to add to your subscription, then go in and remove with this red X. So please remember, add first, then remove. Because if you try to remove all of this and then go into shop, by removing that last one, it's going to tell you, get in touch with customer service because you need help. When in actuality, you don't. You really just need to add product first, then go in and remove because you have an active subscription. So by trying to take everything out, the system thinks you're trying to cancel it, which you're not. You're just trying to make a change. So as I stated before, add, then remove. You do have the editability option as well. So you can go into the shipment date and hit edit. This will allow you to tweak those dates of the shipment. So if I did want to send this out on August 5th, I would hit submit. And this is where, again, I want to harp on the fact that, yes, it did change right there, but notice there's still the save changes option. When I click on that, I'm going to get a pop that will show all your changes you've made have actually been saved. So your changes have been saved. I can't tell you the number of times that I've had those phone calls or those emails where folks have gone in and made that edit, they hit save, and they assumed that everything's done because they did not hit the save changes section. So please remember, any edits that you make within these three, please always hit that save changes options to lock that in. Same instance with changing the ship to address along with your payment method. I do like going into the payment method because I've seen this in the past where folks might have 7, 8, 9, 10 different credit cards on file. Take a look at those expiration dates and just take time to clean house every once in a while to remove those old credit cards. And that just saves any issues with whatever payment we're trying to run. And it just, again, makes it easier for you to monitor that as well. This always makes me smile, poop@poop.com. I don't know why that's the email, but it makes me giggle because I'm 12 still. But you can edit that as far as the email address that you do receive the confirmation of your shipment coming. So again, if you're using a couple different emails, like Frank's got 3 different emails, I can edit that to get that confirmation as well, knowing which one that I go into more often than the others. So this is, again, where you can go in and teach your downline how to utilize this. And as was asked before in regards to preferred customers, they will have this shopping option. They will have this subscription option, and this will look exactly the same for a preferred customer as it does for a distributor. All those edit options, everything we just talked about will be exactly the same. So it's just ensuring that your PCs, taking a moment to educate them on that and to show them those particular options as well. Once you made edits, you can actually go in and preview as well. That will preview and show you what's going to be coming, the date that it'll show up, the address, the card that's being used. It'll basically give you a preview of when that shipment's going to run, what everything will look like as well. All right, I'll pause right there. Any general questions right here, Jill?
Yeah, one question. If we edit it too late, and I'm assuming, Rusty, you mean like Pat, like too close to the auto ship date, is
Yes.
it automatically moved to the next month?
Exactly the case. I'm glad you brought that up, Rusty. Thank you. So like today, if I went in there and made an edit to my subscription, I could change around the product. Once I hit save changes, because the warehouse at this point today, they're already starting to gather those products, knowing that they're going to start shipping those the following day. So by making that edit, it will push it out to the following month. As I stated before, though, once you hit save changes, you'll be able to see that here. And at that point, get in touch with customer support, or leave it as is, call in, get a spot order placed, and then just let that subscription order run the following month. So yes, I'm glad you brought that up because it's definitely an indicator of trying to do it before 48 hours. Any edit changes before your subscription runs is to your benefit of not having to worry about that as well.
Awesome, great question. Dusty. I had a question about is there a report that shows our auto ships that like what the auto ship runs every month? Is there a report that will show that?
The batch dates will inside of that detailed genealogy. So when we're in here, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit, guys. You can actually go into this filter one and see this batch date number. You can go in there and run those. If you want to see all of the subscriptions, and click on that. There is subscription default too, and I'll touch on that one. But what this will do, it should show you everybody that has, yes, so it does give you like those active subscriptions and inactive. Let me dwindle this down a little bit though. But that subscription batch date will be listed here. And if you do subscription default, yes, this makes it a little bit more legible. This is where you can see those as well. It'll give the batch dates. So if you click on that once and click on that a second time, that should show you, again, those dates that will be listed as far as the 5th, the 10th, the 25th. It'll have all of those dates listed. Oops, I think I clicked on it too many times. Let me do that one more time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off guard there.
You're fine.
I try to, myself try to organize and keep track of my auto ships and teach my team to do the same so that they know what's coming. So I just thought there was a report that would show on the 5th, this is what your auto ship ran on the, the 10th, this is what it was, the 15th, and the 25th, this is what the total number was.
Okay, like in total, yeah. So that might be the one where you would go to here in the front page where it's going to give the subscription volume. I believe this one here might be that report that you can utilize as well, because it's an overview of all the volume that came through, and it should give those batch dates as well.
Okay.
It's just different ways to look at it, detailed genealogy compared to that one report. It's just, again, what am I using it for and what am I trying to get out of that report? But that, like I said, that's why I like that detailed genealogy, because I can tweak and play with the numbers that are showing, but also the columns that'll show up as well. Let's see. So we did go over this. Perfect. Account services. I do like going over this. When you go into account inquiry, why I like this section is like right now we're running the flip the switch. So if you did earn that bonus, that's not considered a primary commission or a secondary commission. So it's not going to show up in those two reports. But you can actually come into this, again, account services, account inquiry, and you'll be able to see any of those bonuses that are outside of the primary and secondary commissions. It will show up in this report here. You have a top section that does give you an indication of what these two letters mean off to the left. Commissions earned, if it was a bonus. They will be titled out that way as well. So if it does say like flip the switch, it'll show like mentor or reach or return bonus, and then give you the dollar amount that was earned. And one thing that I like calling out too is that you might get an email from Hyperwallet that shows you earned $100 to your Hyperwallet. And then the 15th comes and you get a deposit of $80 instead of $100. You're like, well, where did that other $20, where did it go? You can actually go into here and see if that, I would say 95% of the time, it turns out to be a clawback. What that basically means is you've got paid out on something, and then that individual either returned the product right off the bat or just didn't want it and returned it. Whatever the case may be, they sent it back to LifeVantage and we credited back the money that they spent. At that point, what we need to do is claw back those funds that we paid you, because you earned $20 off of that order and this person returned it. So we would need to claw back those funds from you. So this is what these clawbacks would mean. That means that somebody placed an order that they returned. It will give you an order number, but for privacy reasons, it will not give you a name or an ID of that individual. And it's just, again, for those privacy reasons, we just don't want somebody going postal on somebody and calling them and why'd you return it and all that good stuff. So it's just a good way for, again, security. But for you, this is a good place to go in and review that as well, just to see if there were any particular clawbacks, what the amount was, so that way you know the who's and what's behind it. And then same instance I talked about before, this orbital. So the name of this account is test account, where your name would be showing up here. So if it said Frank Leon and then orbital underneath it, that lets me know that I placed an order, and then right below it, I paid for the order. So that's what that means. And again, everything else is pretty self-explanatory within this section, but this is what we both use in distributor support to review any bonuses or clawbacks. So that when you're looking at this, you're looking at exactly what the agent that you're talking to on the phone is reviewing as well. Let's see here. And then this account information, this is where you can go in and edit your password, home address information, any preferences or personal privacy, like check marking the I want to receive emails or not receive emails. This is what this section will do, and where you can actually add a photo as well. So if you wanted to add that, that would be in this personal information section. This last piece I do like to cover because, again, your referral site is where it's going to show that URL that you're sharing with folks. So if you did want to change that URL, you would have that option here, because the default is always going to be your first name, last name, lifevantage.com. But to change your URL site, you have that option right here. And if you put one in, same thing at the bottom, you want to save those changes. If it's available, it'll look just like this, and you know you're good to go. If it's not available, you will get a red marker there saying it's already in use. So just keeping in mind that if I do edit it, I always want to save changes, so that way I can identify if that URL is being used or not. Same thing within your website, you'll have that ability to go in the upper left-hand corner, and usually it's going to have your photo and then your name listed there. In this resource, you can edit the way your name appears in the website. So if I wanted to be like Dr. Jensen, I could edit that right here. And if I wanted to put a different phone number or no phone number at all, or maybe my cell instead of my home number, I could edit that as well. Same instance. As I'm done, I'm going to hit Save Changes to lock that in. So always remembering to do that, and then having that editability option. Again, it just gives you control over your back office. Jump out of that.
Rusty is asking, what is the reason for the disable ID URL? Does that mean if you don't want one, you disable it?
I believe so. I'm not going to lie, Rusty, I've never seen anybody use it, so I really don't know. I have yet to see anybody disable. I think it's more to do with our compliance team. If they were to lock somebody and shut them down for suspension, usually they can't get into their office, their back office, when they're suspended. It gives us that ability to go in there and just lock them out as well, I believe. Still, that's a follow-up question, Joe. If you could send that to me, we could find out. But that kind of covers everything within the back office. I know we kind of went over. Can I get another like 5 more minutes just to go over the playbook? Would that be okay?
Sure. I'll stay on. If anyone needs to jump off, feel free to jump off. It's recorded, so you can always fast forward it if you want to. If you got stuff to do, I totally understand. This is a long call, and it's, not the most time, but it is important. So I would love you to go over the playbook. It's something that I've been wanting to learn more about too. So if anyone needs to leave, feel free to leave. Anyone wants to stay, feel free to stay. Thanks, Frank.
Yes, no problem. Because that concludes the back office. Again, anybody that's using it, it's a resource and a tool. And this is why I love utilizing this playbook, because I look at it as another tool that can be utilized for yourself for development, but also any potential prospects that you may have. The playbook is on the website. Once you log into your replicated site, hit this drop-down arrow. You do have your monthly playbook listed right there. Once you click on that, it will take you to the playbook. And this resource is basically looked at month to month, and it's going to be edited month to month. And it'll show you any big promotions that are happening. Will usually be the first thing you'll see. So again, global convention. It'll give you some bullet points to discuss that with anyone, along with any downloadable assets, meaning you could put this on your social media pages. These things have all been cleared by compliance already. So knowing that you could just throw that onto your Instagram, Facebook, and be able to share without the concern of being, run down by compliance. So reviewing and knowing that this resource is there to share that information. Definitely, this is the one that I hover on the most, because it is the Saturday and the Tuesday trainings that are done with our Pro 7s through Pro 10s. I mean, it has all the elites as far as specific trainings. And they're all downloaded here for you to actually share the asset, meaning you could kind of preview folks if you're going to do a team meeting, maybe around a specific subject. So you could tease your group by just sending off maybe something about, I like going into Dr. Dixon's. He's got some good info. Let's see here. Oh, I see that. Ooh, how about Daisy? I think we know her. So I actually had a meeting with folks where I did walk through the back office, but the beginning piece, they watched Daisy's video. And what they did is, what I thought was really smart is, rather than looking at the whole video, they did break this up, because this video right here is about 20 minutes long, and it's just telling her story. And her team really resonated with Daisy. So when they had the opportunity to have the whole team there, they played the video. Everybody was very engaged, because again, they could all agree that Daisy, they kind of relate to, and they kind of have that connection. So by utilizing this tool, the full team got to hear her story, all the benefits of where she was, how she got there. Again, just tidbits and little bit of nuggets that she may have. But it's just a good way of, again, engaging your team, or even saying, hey team, I'm gonna send you guys to watch this video. When we have our next meeting, we're gonna review everything that was discussed. Kind of like almost as a small book club, if you will. So these trainings will have that, and they'll have particular subjects that they'll go over. Again, Dr. Dixon going over nutrigenomics. Each individual will kind of have a subject that they cover. But it's just a good way of, again, somebody who might be brand new and they want to have a little bit more information, you could go in there and review, whether it be the full actual training or those particular sections that you want them to watch. It's already broken up for you within here as well. And then even being able to watch the whole video and you yourself say, okay, from minute 15:01 to 17:03, that spoke to me a lot. I want to make sure and share that with my team. And again, assigning them maybe a little bit of piece of homework to do as well. So this is a fantastic resource with just a number of different individuals that are available to hear from. And for me, again, I resonate with different individuals. Brandon Cunningham, I could watch him present all the time. So I'll probably pull up his videos and maybe watch those first. So again, it's just a good way of just keeping yourself engaged, in the know. And then if you see something that really does stand out to you, to share that with your team, maybe a prospect, somebody as a PC that maybe want to become a distributor, that resource isn't going anywhere. As Saturday meetings are completed though, like this last Saturday, it might take a week or so for it to get loaded, just depending on what was discussed, because our compliance team still needs to edit it down, maybe scrub some things that should not have been said, just to ensure that the recording itself is compliant. But same thing, if you share it via social media, you know it's been reviewed, you know it's been okayed by compliance. So that is, again, another resource to utilize. These Tuesday trainings, this is where they had the individuals go over a specific subject. So within this one, again, you have Shauna McClure that went over taking control. You're gonna have all these videos where, you know, like Marcy Nettles went through and they talked about the same thing. But it could be that this presenter compared to that presenter said it a certain way that just made sense to me. And at that point, I'm gonna go through these and review them. I always talk about at night, usually around 8, 9 o'clock at night, my wife and I sit on TikTok for about 45 minutes and laugh and laugh. But if I was a distributor, I would take that 45 minutes to come to these type of videos, review, get some info, get me ready to fall asleep. It just depends on what you're using it for. And again, the motivation that it's giving you. So again, a resource to be utilized in whatever way you feel is going to fit your team, or how you're going to use it as a distributor to bring in new clients as well. You also have the product of the month. We had a meeting this last Wednesday that talked about NAD. In the particular, we had a large section of folks that either hear about it or didn't know enough about NAD. So I look at this as a marketing tool to utilize to speak about maybe a product that folks maybe not have all the detail on, or to educate you on the who's and what's behind it. So there are some general, you know, like some bullet points to talk about. It's a good way to get the conversation started. Again, the assets to download, so that way you can share them on social media. But what I like about our blogs is they usually will tie into that product of the month. So now you can get into specifics about NAD and aging and sirtuins and health benefits. It really does kind of give you more. And again, as you get into those conversations with folks that maybe want more detail, you might send them or be able to share the resource with them as well. And we have our Facebook videos. Again, our podcast, second season is coming soon. They'll have these Facebook Live videos, and this is where you can go into your Facebook as you're part of those groups and review those. And then again, as I talked about through each section, the social media assets. It's a good way of just getting folks engaged. As you go into it, you're going to have those teasers. You have other ones that'll give more detail, and then even other ones where it'll give you full breakdown on the product as well. So some of the teasers might just be, you know, what do Apple, Amazon, and Disney all have in common? You know, free shipping on all subscriptions. You could just share that one thing and get the conversation started. What is that? What are you talking about? What does that mean? And then through which, again, as you go through the different assets here, you can utilize the second and third one as follow-up pieces too. So between those videos and these social assets, from other companies, usually you have to pay month to month to have access to any of those resources. So just knowing that LifeVantage puts that in your hands, this is why I go over the playbook, because some folks are like, I didn't even know. So by knowing that that is there, it's going, how are you going to use it? What is your team going to do with it? Where are you going to do it as an individual? Because like I talked about before, this is your business. That's your back office. These are your resources to use. So if you're not using these tools, when you're building a house, you're going to use a lot of different tools. But if you're just stuck on your hammer, you're going to get stuck at some point. So you need to be able to use a lot of different tools in your tool belt to get the job done. So don't get stuck on one tool. Utilize all of them that are out there. When you're uncomfortable with change, utilizing a new resource and getting stuck and frustrated, that's good. You're challenging yourself. Now that you know, who do I reach out to within my team or my upline that could be that subject matter expert that might assist me with getting to know these resources as well. This end piece, thank you.
So awesome.
I love ending on this last one because it's fun. It's a social media calendar where it could just be like, hey, tomorrow's peanut butter day, you guys. So make sure you have your whey protein with your peanut butter, get your shakes. What are you guys putting in your whey protein? What do you like eating with peanut butter? It's just a good, fun social media calendar. Could be that it's pie day and it's somebody's birthday. So, hey, when we can get together, we'll have a meeting and we'll make it a pie day meeting since that's pie day. So it's just a fun social media calendar just to find out what are those days and how you could tie that either into your business or, again, just starting your meetings off a fun way. It's just a good resource to use just to keep your team motivated. So good, fun little tool that I like the teams to know about as well. But that concludes what the playbook is. Again, I just want to make sure everybody knows it's there. Same thing with the launch guide, just knowing that those resources are there. If at any time you're in the website and you just start typing, this is where that search bar will show up. So again, that launch guide is another fantastic resource that everybody can utilize to replicate and build the system. It's got it listed, it's downloadable, it's got videos for you to utilize to help you walk through it. So this is that replication tool that everybody's been asking about. And again, all I did was just started typing launch. It got me here. And this launch guide is, again, for all you beginners out there, a good structuring piece to help you have a flow to your enrollments and to your follow-up pieces as well. So I gave you guys a lot. I've been talking a lot, but tools are available and I get excited when I talk about them. So of course, I want to make sure everybody's aware. So that kind of concludes the training itself. And again, just utilizing your tools to your benefit, guys. Just make sure you're doing it on a consistent basis because I love to see the growth. I love to see the excitement. And when somebody can learn a new tool and they start using it and it works, that really helps motivate and continue to keep the momentum moving as well.
So awesome, Frank. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
You get to that playbook through the back office or you have to go in through your replicated site?
Through your replicated site. So if you're in the back office, and like I showed you for you guys, if you go to my referral site, that'll take you to your page. As long as you're logged in the upper right-hand corner, that drop-down arrow, playbook is right there.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody who stayed on. Thank you so much, Frank. That was a wealth of information for sure. I'm definitely going to go back and look at a few things that we learned a lot. There was a few things I didn't know were there. So really appreciate it. I'll let everybody go. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Rusty, for recording this. This will be recorded and shared. We'll talk to y'all soon.